At first glance, high-volume commerce often looks like a chaotic series of completely disconnected random interactions between thousands of strangers. In our previous study of the firm, we treated the market price as a static, external fact, something the individual business simply had to accept. But prices are not static. We need to understand where that number actually comes from. The final price of any product is determined by specific structural factors, chiefly the number of firms in that market and their individual ability to set prices. We call this market structure. To build our models, we will look at three distinct environments here in Ghana. First, the bustling Kejetia market, an approximation of perfect competition. Then we'll look at the opposite extreme, the Electricity Company of Ghana, a monopoly. Finally, we'll analyze neighborhood chop bars, which sit in the hybrid middle ground of monopolistic competition. Identifying a sector's structure is the only way to predict if a market will naturally reach an efficient outcome, or if it will require government intervention to prevent high prices and low supply. We start with the perfectly competitive benchmark. This model assumes many small buyers and sellers, a homogeneous product, free entry and exit, and perfect information. Take these tomato traders in Kumasi. With dozens of stalls selling identical products, no single seller can raise her price without losing every customer. She is a price taker, facing a horizontal, perfectly elastic demand curve. To find the total market supply, we take every individual firm that is operating above its shutdown price and sum their marginal cost curves horizontally. In this example, if an individual firm faces a marginal cost of 2 plus 0.5 Q, they maximize profit by setting that equal to price. Solving for Q gives us an individual supply function of 2P minus 4. Multiplying that by 200 identical firms gives us a market supply of 400P minus 800. By setting this equal to market demand, we can solve for the specific equilibrium price. At this equilibrium price, every firm is independently making an optimal decision, and those decisions happen to perfectly clear the market. In perfect competition, the fact that no individual seller has the power to move the price is exactly what allows the price to act as a universal signal, coordinating production across the entire market. When a firm sells at that price, we measure its producer surplus. This is revenue minus variable costs, essentially the money a firm has available to cover its fixed costs and then generate profit. On a graph, this is the area bounded by the market price and the firm's marginal cost curve. Calculating this geometric area provides the same result as taking the firm's short-run profit and adding back its fixed costs. But the short run is only the beginning. Increased demand for walkie pushes prices up, allowing existing sellers to earn high economic profits. Because entry is free, those profits attract new stalls. As they enter, the market supply shifts right, driving the market price down, until it is tangent to the very bottom of the firm's long-run average cost curve. This is the zero profit condition. In the long run, competition forces firms to produce at their most efficient scale, where they earn zero economic profit. This assumes a constant cost industry. However, if expanding the sector bids up the price of specialized inputs, the long-run supply curve will slope upward as average costs rise for everyone. Under perfect competition, the threat of new competition ensures that prices are kept as low as possible for consumers while maintaining the sustainability of the firms. Now consider the opposite extreme, monopoly.
A firm like the Ghana Water Company is the sole provider, meaning it faces the entire market demand curve. This creates a unique constraint. To sell one more unit, a monopolist must lower the price on all units sold. Because of this, the revenue gained from that extra unit is offset by the price cut on previous units, meaning marginal revenue is always lower than price. The monopolist finds where marginal revenue equals marginal cost to determine its output, but it then charges the maximum price consumers will pay for that quantity along the demand curve. By restricting output to keep prices high, the firm destroys value that would have been created by trades that now never happen. We label this lost social welfare as deadweight loss. We measure this pricing power using the Lerner Index. It shows that the firm's ability to mark up prices above cost is limited only by how sensitive consumers are to price changes. This inefficiency can be bypassed through first-degree price discrimination if the firm can charge every single buyer their exact maximum willingness to pay. In this case, the firm produces the same high quantity as a competitive market,
but it captures every cent of the resulting value as profit, leaving nothing for the consumer. In many utility sectors, massive infrastructure costs mean average costs fall as output grows. In these natural monopolies, one firm can serve the market more cheaply than several competing ones could. However, because monopolies naturally prioritize profit over social efficiency, these sectors are the primary targets for government price regulation. Most real markets are hybrids, following Edward Chamberlain's model of monopolistic competition. Here, there are many sellers and free entry, but the products are slightly different. Think of neighborhood chop bars. While many exist, a specific location or a preferred recipe gives each owner a loyal following. This gives the owner a downward-sloping demand curve for their specific food, even though close substitutes are nearby. In the short run, the firm maximizes profit by setting marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, just like a mini monopoly, and can earn positive economic profit. But those profits don't last. With no barriers to entry, new competitors arrive, offering their own versions of the product and stealing market share. As competitors enter, the individual firm's demand curve shifts left until it is just tangent to the average cost curve. At this point, the economic profit is wiped out. This tangency point illustrates the excess capacity theorem. Because the demand curve is downward sloping, it must hit the average cost curve while that curve is still falling. This means the firm is producing less than its most efficient possible output. While this is technically inefficient, it is the price society pays for variety, having a wide choice of different brands, styles, and flavors. To summarize, let's compare our three structures. In perfect competition, price equals marginal cost. In the other two, firms use their market power to keep price above cost. Only perfect competition achieves total allocative efficiency. Monopolies create deadweight loss, while monopolistic competition leaves us with excess capacity in exchange for product variety. Before your exam, remember, producer surplus is not the same as profit. You must subtract fixed costs from your surplus to find the actual profit. Second, distinguish between the timelines. The shutdown rule depends on average variable cost in the short run, but the exit rule depends on average total cost in the long run. Finally, never assume marginal revenue equals price unless you are working with perfect competition. If the firm can influence the price, marginal revenue will always be lower. Practice these derivations and review the Learner Index markup rule. We will be applying these tools to more complex scenarios in our next session.